Deep within the quiet halls of an ancient temple, hidden beneath layers of time and dust, lie symbols carved into stone, intricate patterns, and cryptic shapes that whisper of a world beyond our own. These weren't mere decorations. To the people who created them, these symbols were sacred keys, believed to unlock the mysteries of the divine. For thousands of years, across countless civilizations, humans have yearned to connect with something greater than themselves, something beyond the reach of ordinary words. And in that quest, they turn to symbols, a universal language of the sacred. Today, we're diving into the fascinating ways ancient civilizations used symbols to communicate with the divine. From the towering pyramids of Egypt, where hieroglyphs told stories of gods and the afterlife, to the clay tablets of Mesopotamia, etched with prayers and omens, to the intricate carvings of the Maya, who saw the cosmos reflected in their art, each culture developed its own symbolic system, a bridge between the earthly and the eternal. These symbols weren't just tools for communication, they were portals believed to open pathways to the gods themselves. So, what secrets do these ancient symbols hold? How do they shape the beliefs and rituals of their creators? And what can they teach us about humanity's timeless desire to connect with the divine? Join us as we explore these questions and more, uncovering the mystical and profound ways symbols have shaped our spiritual history. This is a journey into the heart of the sacred, where every mark, every shape tells a story of the human soul reaching for the infinite. Let's begin. Symbols have always held a unique power in human history, a power that transcends language, borders, and even time itself. Across ancient civilizations, symbols were far more than decorative art or simple markings. They were a universal language, a way to communicate ideas that words alone couldn't capture. Imagine standing in the shadow of an Egyptian temple, gazing at the intricate hieroglyphs carved into stone. Those weren't just pictures, they were sacred tools designed to convey complex spiritual concepts and bridge the gap between the human and the divine. For ancient cultures, symbols were more than just representations, they were conduits. They believed that certain shapes, patterns, and images could carry messages to the gods, invoke their presence, or even channel their power. Think of the Ankh in Egypt, the symbol of eternal life, or the arm in Hinduism, representing the essence of the universe. These weren't random designs, they were carefully crafted codes imbued with deep spiritual meaning. They served as a kind of sacred shorthand, allowing people to express profound ideas about creation, existence, and the afterlife. What's fascinating is how universal this practice was. From the intricate mandalas of Buddhism to the geometric patterns of Islamic art, symbols have been used across cultures to communicate with the divine. Each civilization developed its own symbolic language, tailored to its beliefs and worldview. The Aztecs used glyphs to depict their gods and rituals, while the Celts wove spirals and knots into their art to represent the interconnectedness of life. These symbols weren't just artistic expressions, they were encoded messages meant to unlock deeper truths and connect humanity with something greater. This shared use of symbols reveals a profound truth about ancient societies. No matter where they were or what gods they worshipped, they all sought to understand and communicate with forces beyond their comprehension. And that's where the real magic lies, not just in the symbols themselves, but in what they represent. They were a way for people to make sense of the mysteries of existence, to reach out to the divine, and to leave a mark that would endure long after they were gone. As we delve deeper into the symbolic languages of these civilizations, we'll uncover how their unique systems of communication evolved, and how they used these sacred tools to navigate their spiritual worlds. From the pyramids of Egypt to the temples of Mesopotamia, the story of symbols is a story of humanity's enduring quest for connection. and the timeless power of visual language to transcend the limits of speech. In the sun-drenched lands of ancient Egypt, where the Nile flowed like a ribbon of life, a unique language of symbols emerged, one that was thought to bridge the gap between the mortal world and the divine. Hieroglyphs, those intricate carvings adorning temple walls, tombs, and sacred scrolls, were far more than just a system of writing. To the Egyptians, they were sacred gifts from the gods themselves, a divine script meant to communicate with the eternal. Each hieroglyph carried layers of meaning, blending art, spirituality, and magic. Take, for instance, the Ankh, the symbol resembling a cross with a loop at the top. It wasn't merely a representation of life, it was life itself, a key to immortality, often depicted in the hands of gods and pharaohs. Then there's the Eye of Horus, a powerful emblem of protection, healing, and royal power. This symbol, shaped like a falcon's eye, was believed to ward off evil and restore balance, making it a staple in amulets and ritual objects. And let's not forget the Djed pillar, a symbol of stability and endurance, often associated with Osiris, the god of the afterlife. Its presence in tombs and temples served as a reminder of the eternal nature of the soul. These symbols weren't just decorative, they were active participants in the spiritual life of ancient Egypt. In temples, hieroglyphs adorned walls to invoke the presence of deities, creating a sacred space where the divine could manifest. In tombs, they acted as protective spells, ensuring safe passage for the deceased into the afterlife. And in rituals, priests used these symbols to call upon the gods, seeking their favor, guidance, and blessings. Hieroglyphs were, in essence, a language of power, a way for mortals to reach across the veil and touch the divine. As we explore these ancient symbols, it's impossible not to marvel at how they intertwine art, faith, and functionality. They remind us that for the Egyptians, communication with the gods wasn't just about words, it was about creating a tangible connection to the sacred, one symbol at a time. In the ancient world, where the line between the mortal and the divine was often blurred, certain individuals held the keys to this mystical exchange. In Egypt, priests and scribes weren't just revered for their knowledge, they were seen as essential bridges between humanity and the gods. Their role was sacred, their work precise, and their influence profound. These intermediaries were tasked with a monumental responsibility to craft and decode the symbols that carried the prayers, offerings, and messages of the people to the divine realm. But this wasn't just a casual duty, it was a highly specialized art steeped in ritual and tradition. Priests, for instance, were not only spiritual leaders but also scholars of the divine. They underwent rigorous training, often starting from a young age, to master the intricate language of symbols. Hieroglyphs, the sacred script of Egypt, weren't just a form of writing, they were believed to hold magical and spiritual power. Every stroke of the chisel or brush had to be perfect, as the gods were said to respond only to the most carefully crafted messages. The scribes, on the other hand, were the meticulous record keepers and artists of this divine dialogue. They worked closely with priests, ensuring that every symbol was placed with intention and reverence. Together, they created a system of communication that was as much about precision as it was about devotion. But what made their work even more fascinating were the rituals involved. Before inscribing a single symbol, priests would often purify themselves through cleansing ceremonies, fasting, and prayers. The act of writing became a sacred ritual itself, performed in temples adorned with symbols of the gods. It was believed that only through this level of dedication could the messages truly reach the divine. And it wasn't just about sending messages. Priests and scribes also interpreted the gods' responses, often through dreams, omens, or the behavior of sacred animals. This two-way communication was vital for everything from predicting the Nile's floods to ensuring the pharaoh's favor with the gods. While Egypt's system of symbolic communication was uniquely elaborate, it wasn't alone in relying on intermediaries. Across the ancient world, other civilizations also turned to their own priests, shamans, or oracles to bridge the gap between the human and the divine. In Mesopotamia, for example, priestly scribes recorded omens and prophecies on clay tablets, while in the Andes, shamans used intricate textiles and carvings to convey messages to the spirits. These roles, though varied in their practices, shared a common thread: the belief that certain individuals had the knowledge, skill, and spiritual connection to communicate with forces beyond mortal understanding. This universal reliance on intermediaries reveals just how deeply humanity sought to understand and connect with the divine, no matter the time or place. Now, let's journey to the cradle of civilization, Mesopotamia, where the ancient world's first written language, cuneiform, emerged as a bridge between humanity and the divine. This intricate system of wedge-shaped symbols wasn't just a tool for record-keeping. It was a sacred medium believed to carry the very voices of the gods. Imagine a world where every stroke of a stylus in clay wasn't just writing but an act of devotion, a way to commune with the unseen forces that shaped their lives. The Mesopotamians saw their writing as more than mere communication. It was a conduit for divine messages. Prayers, hymns, and royal decrees etched in cuneiform were thought to reach the ears of the gods themselves. Take, for example, the Star of Ishtar, the eight-pointed symbol of the goddess of love, war, and fertility. This emblem wasn't just decorative, it was a powerful invocation, a way to call upon Ishtar's favor and protection. Similarly, the lamashur, those awe-inspiring winged bulls with human faces, stood as guardians at the gates of palaces and temples. They weren't just symbols of strength, they were believed to ward off evil and bring divine blessings to those who passed beneath their gaze. But the connection to the divine didn't stop at grand temples or royal inscriptions. Mesopotamians wove these symbols into their daily lives, from amulets worn for protection to household rituals that sought to keep the gods close. Even the act of writing a simple prayer on a clay tablet was seen as a direct line to the divine, a way to ensure their voices were heard in the celestial realm. This profound belief in the power of symbols shaped every aspect of their culture, from the monumental to the mundane. What's truly fascinating is how these ancient practices reveal a universal human yearning, a desire to bridge the gap between the earthly and the eternal. Through cuneiform and its sacred symbols, the Mesopotamians didn't just record history. They created a living dialogue with the divine, one that echoes across millennia. And as we explore further, you'll see how this deep connection between symbols and spirituality shaped other civilizations in equally profound ways. The towering ziggurats of ancient Mesopotamia weren't just architectural marvels, they were profound symbols of humanity's desire to bridge the gap between earth and the heavens. These massive step temples, rising like mountains from the flat plains, were designed to evoke a sense of ascent, as if each tier brought the priests closer to the realm of the gods. Think about it, in a world where the divine was seen as residing above, what better way to communicate with the heavens than by building a literal stairway? The ziggurat at Ur, for example, was more than just a place of worship. It was a cosmic symbol, a physical representation of the Mesopotamian belief that the gods could be reached through effort, ritual, and devotion. The rituals performed at these structures were steeped in symbolism. Priests would ascend the ziggurat's levels, often carrying offerings or performing sacred rites meant to appease or commune with the deities. Every step upward was a metaphor for spiritual progress, a journey from the mundane to the divine. And it wasn't just the structure itself that carried meaning. The symbols carved into the ziggurat's walls told stories of creation, power, and the gods' favor. These carvings served as a visual language, reinforcing the temple's role as a conduit between worlds. But Mesopotamia wasn't alone in using architecture to symbolize a connection to the divine. Across the globe, other civilizations built structures that echoed this same idea. The pyramids of Egypt, with their smooth, upward-pointing forms, were designed to guide the pharaoh's soul to the afterlife. The towering pagodas of East Asia, with their multiple tiers, symbolized the ascent to enlightenment. Even the Gothic cathedrals of medieval Europe, with their soaring spires, aimed to draw the eye and the spirit heavenward. What's fascinating is how these cultures, separated by time and distance, all arrived at a similar conclusion: that architecture could be more than functional. It could be a sacred language, a way to speak to the gods. This shared impulse to build upward, to reach for the heavens, tells us something universal about humanity. It's a reminder that, no matter the culture or era, people have always sought to connect with something greater than themselves. And in the Ziggurats of Mesopotamia, we see one of the earliest and most striking expressions of that longing, a testament to the power of symbols to transcend the physical and touch the divine. The Maya civilization, flourishing in the dense jungles of Mesoamerica, left behind one of the most sophisticated writing systems of the ancient world, their intricate glyphs. These symbols were far more than mere records of daily life. They were a bridge between the earthly and the divine. Carved into stone stelae, painted on pottery, and etched into codices, Maya glyphs captured everything from royal decrees to sacred rituals. But perhaps most fascinating is how deeply these symbols were intertwined with celestial events, turning the heavens into a canvas of divine communication. For the Maya, the movements of the sun, moon, and stars weren't just astronomical phenomena. They were messages from the gods. The alignment of celestial bodies guided their calendars, dictated their rituals, and even shaped their architecture. Take, for instance, the iconic maize god, a central figure in Maya mythology. Represented in countless glyphs and carvings, the maize god symbolized life, death, and rebirth, mirroring the agricultural cycles that sustained the civilization. But his story didn't end there. The Maya believed that the maize god's journey through the underworld and eventual resurrection mirrored the path of the sun across the sky, tying his myth directly to the cosmos. Another striking example is the vision serpent, a powerful symbol that emerged during ritual ceremonies. The Maya believed that when a shaman or ruler entered a trance, they could summon the vision serpent, a conduit to the spirit world. This serpent, often depicted with gaping jaws and celestial symbols, was thought to carry messages from the gods themselves. It's no coincidence that many depictions of the vision serpent include stars or other celestial motifs, reinforcing the connection between the divine and the heavens. Astronomy was more than a science for the Maya. It was a sacred language. Their cities were designed with celestial precision, aligning temples and pyramids to capture the light of the sun during solstices or equinoxes. These moments weren't just symbolic. They were seen as direct communication from the gods, a sign that the universe was in harmony. The Maya even tracked the cycles of Venus, associating its movements with both warfare and divine favor, proving just how deeply their spiritual beliefs were rooted in the stars. What's truly remarkable is how the Maya wove their understanding of the cosmos into every aspect of their culture. Their glyphs weren't just a way to record history. They were a living, breathing link to the divine, a testament to their belief that the heavens held the answers to life's greatest mysteries. And as we explore further, we'll see how this celestial obsession wasn't unique to the Maya, but a thread that connects many ancient civilizations in their quest to understand the will of the gods. The Maya civilization viewed time not as a linear progression, but as a sacred, cyclical force intertwined with the divine. At the heart of their spiritual and daily lives were their sacred calendars, the Tzolk'in and the Hop. These weren't just tools for marking days or seasons. They were profound systems of symbolic communication with the gods. The Tzolk'in, a 260-day cycle, was deeply spiritual, with each day carrying its own unique energy and meaning. This calendar guided rituals, offerings, and even personal decisions, as the Maya believed aligning their actions with these cosmic rhythms was essential to maintaining balance with the divine. The Hub, on the other hand, was a 365-day solar calendar, more closely tied to agricultural cycles and the movement of the sun. Together, these calendars formed a complex web of timekeeping that connected the Maya to the gods in every aspect of life. For example, a day on the Tzolk'in might be seen as auspicious for planting crops, while another could be marked as a day of rest or reflection, dictated by the symbolic meanings embedded in the calendar. This intricate system wasn't just about practicality. It was a way to weave the sacred into the mundane, ensuring that every action, no matter how small, honored the gods. But the Maya weren't alone in seeing time as a bridge to the divine. Ancient Egyptians, for instance, used their lunar and solar calendars to align their rituals with the cycles of the Nile and the movements of celestial bodies like Sirius. In Mesopotamia, timekeeping was tied to the observation of stars and planets, with priests interpreting these patterns as messages from the gods. Across cultures, time wasn't just measured. It was revered as a divine language, a way to maintain harmony between humanity and the cosmos. These civilizations understood that to live in sync with the rhythms of the universe was to live in communion with the gods themselves. In the heart of the Andes, the Inca civilization crafted a communication system unlike any other, one that didn't rely on written words but instead on the intricate language of knots. These were no ordinary knots. They were Quipus, a complex network of colored strings that served as both a record-keeping tool and a sacred medium for connecting with the divine. Imagine holding a quipu in your hands, each knot, each twist, and every hue carrying a story, a prayer, or a message to the gods. It was more than just a method of accounting. It was a spiritual bridge between the earthly and the celestial. The quipus were far from random. Every detail held meaning. The colors of the strings weren't chosen for aesthetics alone. They symbolized different aspects of life and the natural world. Red might represent warfare or sacrifice, while green could signify the bounty of the earth. The knots themselves were arranged in specific patterns, with their placement and type encoding numerical data, historical events, or even sacred rituals. For the Inca, these quipus were more than tools. They were objects of reverence, believed to carry the whispers of the gods themselves. But the quipus were only one piece of the Inca's symbolic language. Their spiritual connection extended beyond the strings to the very landscape around them. Mountains, rivers, and even stones were seen as living entities imbued with divine energy. The peaks of the Andes weren't just geographical features. They were sacred beings or apus who watched over the people and received their offerings. Rivers, too, were thought to carry messages to the gods, flowing with both water and spiritual significance. This deep connection to nature wasn't just symbolic. It was a way of life, a constant dialogue between the Inca and the divine forces that shaped their world. What's fascinating is how these two systems, quipus and natural symbols, worked together. Just as the knots on a quipu told a story, the mountains and rivers were seen as part of a larger, living quipu, weaving the Inca people into the fabric of the cosmos. Every ritual, every offering, every knot tied was a thread in this grand tapestry, connecting the human, the natural, and the divine. It's a reminder that for the Inca, communication with the gods wasn't confined to words or symbols. It was woven into the very essence of their existence. For the Inca, the natural world wasn't just a backdrop to life. It was alive with divine presence. Mountains, rivers, and even the sun itself were seen as sacred manifestations of the gods. To them, the towering peaks of the Andes were more than just geography. They were apus or mountain spirits revered as protectors and providers. Rivers were considered the lifeblood of the earth, flowing with the energy of the divine. And the sun, worshipped as Inti, was the ultimate source of life, warmth, and order. These natural elements weren't just admired, they were deeply woven into the fabric of Inca spirituality, shaping their symbols, rituals, and daily lives. Take the Inti Raymi festival, for example. This grand celebration, held during the winter solstice, was a vivid expression of the Incas' reverence for the sun. Imagine the scene: thousands gathered in Cusco, the heart of the empire, as priests and nobles performed elaborate ceremonies to honor Inti. Golden symbols of the sun adorned temples and rituals, while offerings of crops, animals, and even textiles were made to ensure the sun's return and the fertility of the land. The festival wasn't just a spectacle, it was a profound act of symbolic worship, a way to maintain harmony between the natural and spiritual realms. But the Inca weren't alone in seeing the divine in nature. Across the globe, other ancient civilizations also found spiritual significance in the natural world. The Egyptians, for instance, saw the Nile as a sacred gift from the gods, its annual floods bringing life to their fields. In Mesopotamia, the Tigris and Euphrates rivers were seen as channels of divine will, shaping the destiny of their people. Even in ancient Greece, mountains like Olympus were believed to be the homes of the gods, bridging the gap between earth and heaven. This universal reverence for nature reminds us that for many ancient cultures, the natural world wasn't separate from the divine, it was the divine. As we explore these connections, it becomes clear that symbols were more than just representations. They were a language, a way to communicate with the sacred forces that shaped their lives. And this language wasn't confined to one civilization. It echoed across cultures, revealing a shared understanding of the natural world as a living, breathing expression of the divine. The ancient Greeks believed that the divine spoke through symbols, and nowhere was this more evident than in the sacred rituals of oracles. At the heart of this practice was the Oracle of Delphi, where the Pythia, a priestess of Apollo, delivered messages from the gods. But these weren't straightforward pronouncements, they were cryptic, layered with symbolic meaning that required careful interpretation. Imagine standing before the Pythia, her voice echoing through the temple, as she spoke in riddles that seemed to dance between the earthly and the divine. Her words weren't meant to be taken at face value, they were a tapestry of symbols waiting to be unraveled by those who sought guidance. Central to these oracular rituals were objects steeped in symbolic power. The laurel leaf, for instance, wasn't just a plant. It was a sacred emblem of Apollo, representing purity, victory, and divine inspiration. The Pythia would often chew laurel leaves or burn them as incense, believing they helped channel the god's voice. Then there was the tripod, a three-legged stool upon which the Pythia sat. This wasn't just a piece of furniture, it symbolized the connection between heaven, earth, and the underworld, a conduit for divine messages to flow into the mortal realm. Even the temple's architecture held meaning, with its intricate carvings and inscriptions serving as a physical manifestation of the sacred. But why were these messages so cryptic? The Greeks believed that the gods communicated in symbols because truth was too vast, too complex to be conveyed in plain language. Symbols allowed for multiple layers of meaning, inviting seekers to reflect deeply and find answers that resonated with their unique circumstances. This wasn't just about predicting the future, it was about understanding the deeper truths of existence. Prophecy, in this sense, became a collaborative act between the divine and the human, a dance of interpretation that required both faith and intellect. Greek mythology also brims with symbolic storytelling, where gods and heroes conveyed profound truths through symbolic acts and objects. Take, for example, the story of Prometheus, who stole fire from the gods to give to humanity. Fire wasn't just a tool, it symbolized knowledge, enlightenment, and the spark of divine creativity. Or consider the labyrinth of the Minotaur, a symbol of life's winding path and the challenges we must navigate to find our way. These myths weren't just entertainment, They were a way for the Greeks to explore the mysteries of the cosmos and the human condition through the language of symbols. In ancient Greece, symbols were more than mere decorations. They were bridges between the mortal and the divine, tools for understanding the unseen forces that shaped their world. From the cryptic words of the Pythia to the rich tapestry of myth, symbols provided a way to glimpse the deeper truths that lay just beyond the veil of ordinary perception. And as we'll see, this tradition of symbolic communication didn't end with the Greeks. It continued to evolve, shaping the way cultures across the world connected with the divine. The ancient Greeks didn't just worship their gods, they lived in a world where every symbol, every object carried a deeper connection to the divine. Take Athena's olive tree, for instance. It wasn't just a plant, it was a living testament to wisdom, peace, and prosperity. According to myth, Athena gifted the olive tree to the city of Athens, and in doing so, she became its patron deity. The olive branch wasn't merely a symbol of her favor, it was a way for the people to understand her presence and guidance in their daily lives. When they saw an olive tree, they didn't just see wood and leaves, they saw Athena herself watching over them. Then there's Poseidon's trident, a symbol as powerful as the god it represents. The trident wasn't just a weapon, it was a tool of creation and destruction. With a single strike, Poseidon could summon storms, shatter rocks, or even carve out new springs. For the Greeks, the trident was a reminder of the sea's dual nature, calm and nurturing one moment, wild and deadly the next. It wasn't just a symbol of Poseidon's power, it was a way to interpret his will. When fishermen set sail, they looked to the waves, hoping the trident's presence would mean calm seas and bountiful catches. And who could forget Zeus's thunderbolt? This wasn't just a flash of lightning, it was the ultimate expression of divine authority. Zeus wielded the thunderbolt as a symbol of justice, striking down those who defied the natural order. For the Greeks, the thunderbolt wasn't just a weapon, it was a message. When lightning split the sky, it wasn't random, it was Zeus making his will known. The thunderbolt became a way for people to understand the balance of power in the world, a reminder that even the mightiest mortals were subject to the whims of the gods. These symbols didn't just stay in the realm of myth, they found their way into every corner of Greek life. From the intricate carvings on temples to the designs on pottery, the olive tree, trident, and thunderbolt became integral parts of Greek art and architecture. Temples dedicated to Athena often featured olive motifs, while Poseidon's shrines were adorned with images of the sea and his mighty trident. Even in everyday objects, these symbols served as constant reminders of the god's presence and power. They weren't just decorations, they were a way for the Greeks to keep their deities close, to feel their influence in every aspect of life. Through these symbols, the Greeks didn't just honor their gods, they built a bridge between the mortal and the divine, creating a world where every object told a story, every image carried a message, and every moment was an opportunity to connect with the sacred. Imagine standing at the foot of the Parthenon, its towering columns stretching toward the heavens, each one a testament to the divine order of the universe. Greek temples weren't just places of worship, they were masterpieces of symbolic architecture designed to embody the essence of the gods themselves. Every element, from the placement of the columns to the intricate carvings, was crafted to evoke the presence of the divine and communicate sacred messages to those who entered. The Parthenon, dedicated to Athena, was more than a building. It was a physical manifestation of her wisdom, power, and protection, a bridge between the mortal world and the realm of the gods. The columns, for instance, weren't merely structural, they symbolized strength and stability, mirroring the eternal nature of the gods. Statues of deities stood as focal points, their lifelike features inviting worshippers to feel a personal connection. And the carvings, they told stories, myths of creation, battles, and divine interventions etched into stone to remind visitors of the gods' influence over their lives. These temples weren't just buildings, they were immersive experiences designed to transport worshippers into a sacred space where the divine felt tangible. But the Greeks weren't alone in this practice. Across the ancient world, temples served as symbolic gateways to the divine. In Egypt, towering pylons and obelisks at temple entrances represented the sun god Ra's journey across the sky, while Mesopotamian ziggurats reached toward the heavens, symbolizing humanity's quest to connect with the gods. Each civilization used architecture to encode their beliefs, creating spaces where the sacred and the earthly intertwined. What's fascinating is how these designs weren't just about beauty or grandeur, they were deliberate attempts to communicate with the divine. Through symbols, these ancient cultures sought to honor their gods, convey their devotion, and even influence the divine will. The temples stood as silent yet powerful messengers, echoing the beliefs and values of the people who built them. And in doing so, they remind us that architecture at its core has always been about more than function. It's about meaning, connection, and the eternal human desire to touch the divine. Ancient India holds a profound legacy of spiritual symbolism, where mantras and yantras became powerful tools for connecting with the divine. Mantras, sacred sounds or phrases, were more than just words. They were believed to carry vibrational energy capable of aligning the human spirit with cosmic forces. Chanting mantras like Om, often referred to as the primordial sound of the universe, was thought to create a bridge between the mortal and the divine. This simple yet profound syllable wasn't just a sound, it was a symbol of the infinite, representing the essence of creation itself. Equally fascinating are yantras, intricate geometric designs that served as visual counterparts to mantras. These weren't mere decorations, they were spiritual maps guiding practitioners toward deeper states of meditation and enlightenment. Take the Sri Yantra, for example, a complex pattern of interlocking triangles and circles. It's said to represent the unity of masculine and feminine energies, the balance of the cosmos, and the flow of divine power. Meditating on such a yantra wasn't just about focusing on a design. It was about tapping into the energy it symbolized, aligning oneself with the rhythms of the universe. But what makes these symbols so enduring? It's the belief that they aren't just static images or sounds, they're conduits for divine energy. Ancient Indians saw them as keys to unlocking higher states of consciousness, ways to communicate with the gods without the need for elaborate rituals. And this belief hasn't faded with time. Even today, mantras and yantras remain central to practices like yoga and meditation, proving that these ancient tools still hold relevance in our modern, fast-paced world. Their timeless appeal lies in their ability to transcend language and culture, offering a universal language for spiritual connection. The symbolism of Hindu deities is a vivid tapestry woven with layers of meaning, each detail offering a glimpse into the divine. Take Shiva, one of the most revered gods in Hinduism, often depicted with multiple arms. These arms aren't just a striking visual, they symbolize his omnipotence, his ability to perform countless tasks simultaneously, from destruction to creation, from granting blessings to wielding weapons. Each arm holds something significant: a trident representing the three aspects of existence, a drum symbolizing the rhythm of the universe, and a flame signifying destruction and renewal. Together, they paint a picture of a deity who is both a cosmic force and a personal guide. Then there's Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth and prosperity, often shown holding a lotus. The lotus isn't just a beautiful flower, it's a profound symbol. Growing from muddy waters yet remaining untouched by impurity, it represents purity, spiritual enlightenment, and the idea that one can rise above challenges to achieve abundance and grace. When devotees meditate on Lakshmi's image, the lotus becomes a focal point, a reminder to seek inner wealth and clarity amidst life's chaos. These symbols aren't just artistic choices, they're tools for connection. In Hindu worship, devotees use these images to focus their minds and hearts, channeling their devotion into a tangible form. During festivals like Diwali, the Festival of Lights, or Navaratri, which honors the divine feminine, these symbols take center stage. Statues and paintings of deities are adorned with flowers, lamps, and offerings, transforming homes and temples into vibrant spaces of celebration and reverence. Every gesture, every offering is infused with meaning, turning rituals into profound acts of communication with the divine. This interplay between symbolism and worship shows how deeply intertwined the physical and spiritual worlds are in Hinduism. The symbols become a language, a way for devotees to express their devotion, seek guidance, and feel a connection to something greater than themselves. Fire played a central role in Vedic rituals, acting as a bridge between the earthly and the divine. In the ancient Vedic tradition, fire wasn't just a physical element, it was a sacred force, a divine messenger capable of carrying offerings from humans to the gods. Imagine a priest standing before a blazing altar, chanting ancient hymns as flames danced upward, carrying with them prayers, sacrifices, and the hopes of an entire community. This wasn't just ritual, it was a profound act of communication, a way to connect with the unseen powers that govern the universe. At the heart of this practice was Agni, the Vedic deity of fire. Agni wasn't just a god of flames, he was the embodiment of fire's transformative power. In Vedic texts, Agni is described as a mediator, a being who could travel between worlds, delivering offerings to the gods and returning with their blessings. Fire, in this context, wasn't merely destructive, it was purifying. It symbolized the burning away of impurities, both physical and spiritual, preparing the way for a closer connection to the divine. But the Vedic use of fire wasn't unique. Across the ancient world, fire held a sacred place in rituals and symbolism. In Zoroastrianism, for example, fire was seen as a manifestation of divine light and wisdom, kept perpetually burning in temples as a symbol of purity and truth. The ancient Greeks, too, revered fire as a gift from the gods, with Prometheus famously stealing it from Olympus to give to humanity. Even in Mesoamerican cultures, fire was central to religious ceremonies, often used to honor deities or mark significant cosmic events. What ties these practices together is the universal recognition of fire as a transformative force. Whether it was the Vedic Agni carrying offerings to the heavens or the eternal flames of Zoroastrian temples, fire served as a powerful symbol of connection between humans and gods, between the material and the spiritual. It reminds us that, across cultures and centuries, humanity has sought ways to bridge the gap between the seen and the unseen, using fire as both a tool and a metaphor for that sacred journey. In ancient China, the quest for divine guidance took a remarkably tangible form: oracle bones. These artifacts, often made from ox shoulder blades or turtle shells, were etched with symbols and inscriptions, serving as a bridge between the earthly realm and the spiritual world. Imagine a diviner holding a heated rod to the bone, watching as cracks formed under the intense heat. These cracks weren't random. They were believed to carry messages from ancestors or deities, interpreted by skilled diviners who could read the patterns and predict the future. This practice wasn't just about foreseeing events, it was a profound act of communication, a way to seek wisdom and approval from those who had crossed into the afterlife. The symbols carved into these bones were more than mere markings. They were part of an early writing system, a precursor to modern Chinese characters. Each symbol carried layers of meaning, often tied to questions about harvests, warfare, or royal decisions. The diviner's role was crucial. They didn't just translate the cracks, but also interpreted the symbols in the context of the question asked. This interplay between symbol and interpretation laid the groundwork for deeper philosophical thought, particularly with the emergence of the I Ching, or Book of Changes. The I Ching, one of the oldest Chinese texts, took symbolic divination to a new level. It introduced a system of hexagrams, 6-line symbols made up of broken and unbroken lines, each representing different natural forces or life situations. Consulting the I Ching wasn't just about predicting the future, it was about understanding the flow of life, the balance of opposites, and the harmony of the universe. This text became a cornerstone of Chinese philosophy, influencing everything from governance to personal ethics. What's fascinating is how these ancient practices didn't just stay confined to divination. They seeped into the fabric of Chinese culture, shaping art, literature, and even political decision-making. The belief in symbols as a means to connect with the divine persisted, evolving over time but never losing its core essence. From oracle bones to the I Ching, these practices remind us of humanity's enduring desire to seek meaning and guidance from forces beyond our understanding. In Chinese culture, few symbols carry as much weight and enduring fascination as the dragon and the phoenix. These mythical creatures are far more than just decorative motifs. They embody profound spiritual and cosmic ideas. The dragon, often depicted as a serpentine being with scales and claws, has long been associated with imperial power, strength, and the natural forces of the universe. It was believed to command the rains, rivers, and winds, making it a symbol of life-giving energy and divine authority. Emperors often aligned themselves with the dragon, using its imagery to convey their heavenly mandate to rule. The phoenix, on the other hand, represents transformation, renewal, and divine favor. Unlike the fiery, destructive phoenix of Western mythology, the Chinese phoenix, or Feng Huang, is a graceful, bird-like creature symbolizing harmony and prosperity. Together, these two symbols form a duality, the dragon as the embodiment of yang, or masculine energy, and the phoenix as the embodiment of yin, or feminine energy. Their pairing in art and architecture wasn't just aesthetically pleasing, it was a way to invoke balance and blessings from the heavens. These symbols were woven into every aspect of life. In ancient Chinese architecture, dragons and phoenixes adorned rooftops, walls, and gates, serving as guardians and protectors. During rituals, they were invoked to bring prosperity, fertility, and protection. Even in everyday objects, from ceramics to textiles, their presence was a constant reminder of the connection between the human world and the divine. But what's truly remarkable is how these symbols have transcended time. Today, the dragon and phoenix remain central to Chinese festivals, weddings, and even modern art. They've become icons of cultural identity, representing not just the past but also resilience and hope for the future. Whether it's a dragon dance during Lunar New Year or a phoenix motif in contemporary fashion, these ancient symbols continue to inspire and unite people, proving that their power is as timeless as the stories that created them. In ancient China, calligraphy wasn't just a way to write, it was a spiritual practice, a form of meditation, and a bridge to the divine. Each stroke of the brush was imbued with intention, carrying not just meaning but energy. The art of calligraphy was seen as a sacred act where the artist's hand became a conduit for spiritual expression. Every line, curve, and dot was carefully crafted to reflect harmony, balance, and the flow of cosmic energy. When calligraphers wrote prayers, mantras, or sacred texts, they weren't merely recording words, they were creating a living connection between the human and the divine. This idea of writing as a spiritual tool wasn't unique to China. In ancient Egypt, hieroglyphs were more than just symbols, they were believed to hold magical power. The very act of writing a god's name or a sacred phrase was thought to invoke their presence and blessing. Similarly, in the Islamic world, calligraphy became a revered art form used to transcribe verses from the Quran. The intricate, flowing script wasn't just beautiful, it was a way to honor the divine word, turning written language into a form of worship. Even in Mesoamerica, the Maya used their glyphs to record sacred knowledge, believing that writing connected them to their gods and ancestors. Across cultures, whether through calligraphy, hieroglyphs, or sacred scripts, writing became a powerful medium for spiritual communication. It wasn't just about conveying information, it was about creating a tangible link to something greater, something beyond the physical world. Each culture developed its own unique way of using symbols to reach the divine, but the underlying principle remained the same. The written word was a sacred tool, a means of bridging the gap between the earthly and the eternal. The Celts, a vibrant and deeply spiritual civilization, left behind a legacy of art that speaks volumes about their connection to the natural world and the divine. Among their most iconic creations are the intricate knotwork designs that adorn their manuscripts, jewelry, and monuments. These swirling, interwoven patterns weren't just decorative, they held profound meaning. To the Celts, these knots symbolized the endless cycle of life, the interconnectedness of all things, and the eternal bond between humanity, nature, and the spiritual realm. Each twist and turn in the design seemed to echo the belief that nothing exists in isolation. Everything is part of a greater divine tapestry. Nature itself was a sacred canvas for the Celts. They saw the divine in the rustling leaves of trees, the flight of birds, and the warmth of the sun. Trees, in particular, held a special place in their spirituality. The oak tree, with its towering strength and longevity, was revered as a symbol of endurance and wisdom. It was often seen as a bridge between the earthly and the divine, a living link to the gods. Mistletoe, which grows on oak trees, was considered even more sacred. The Celts believed it carried the essence of the oak's power, and it played a central role in their ceremonies, particularly during the winter solstice. Druids, the spiritual leaders of the Celts, would carefully harvest mistletoe with golden sickles, believing it held the key to healing and protection. Animals, too, were imbued with spiritual significance. The Celts saw them as messengers from the gods, each creature embodying unique qualities. The stag, for example, symbolized strength and nobility, while the raven was often associated with prophecy and transformation. These symbols weren't just artistic motifs, they were woven into the fabric of daily life, appearing in rituals, clothing, and even battle standards. The sun, another powerful symbol, represented life, energy, and renewal. Its cyclical journey across the sky mirrored the Celts' own beliefs in the cycles of birth, death, and rebirth. These symbols came alive during Celtic festivals, which were deeply tied to the rhythms of nature. Samhain, the festival marking the end of the harvest season, was a time to honor ancestors and the thinning veil between worlds. Beltane, celebrated at the start of summer, was filled with rituals to ensure fertility and abundance. Fire, a recurring element in these ceremonies, was seen as a purifying force, a way to connect with the divine and renew the community's bond with the earth. Through these festivals, the Celts didn't just celebrate the divine, they actively participated in it, using symbols to communicate with the spiritual forces they believed shaped their world. The Druids, revered as spiritual leaders of the ancient Celts, held a profound connection to the natural world, seeing it as a living tapestry of symbols and messages from the divine. For them, every rustling leaf, every shifting shadow, and every alignment of the stars carried meaning. As interpreters of these sacred signs, Druids played a pivotal role in guiding their communities, offering wisdom and mediating between the human and the divine. They believed that the gods spoke through nature, and it was their duty to decipher these messages, ensuring harmony and balance within their tribes. Central to their practice were sacred groves, lush, untouched forests where the veil between worlds was thought to be thinnest. These groves were not just places of worship, but also classrooms where knowledge was passed down through generations. Within these hallowed spaces, Druids conducted rituals, using symbols carved into wood or stone to invoke the presence of the gods. Standing stones, often arranged in circles or patterns, served as both altars and markers of cosmic alignment. These stones were more than monuments, they were conduits of spiritual energy, amplifying the prayers and offerings of the Druids. The symbols used by the Druids were deeply tied to the cycles of nature. The oak tree, for example, symbolized strength and endurance, while mistletoe, often harvested with a golden sickle, was seen as a bridge between the earthly and the divine. By interpreting these symbols, Druids could predict the outcomes of battles, advise on agricultural cycles, and even foresee personal fortunes. Their ability to read the signs of nature made them indispensable to their communities, blending the roles of priest, healer, and advisor. The influence of Druidic practices didn't fade with the decline of their ancient culture. Instead, their reverence for nature and symbolic interpretation seeped into later spiritual traditions. The use of sacred groves, for instance, can be seen echoed in the medieval reverence for churchyards and natural sanctuaries. Similarly, the alignment of standing stones finds a parallel in the design of cathedrals, where light and shadow are used to mark sacred times and seasons. The Druids' legacy lives on, reminding us that the natural world is not just a resource but a source of profound spiritual insight. This deep connection between symbols and the divine, as practiced by the Druids, offers a timeless lesson that the sacred is often hidden in the ordinary, waiting to be interpreted by those who take the time to listen. Their wisdom invites us to look beyond the surface, to see the patterns and meanings woven into the fabric of the world around us. The Aztecs, one of Mesoamerica's most fascinating civilizations, left behind a rich legacy of symbols that were far more than mere decorations. They were a language of the divine. At the heart of their culture was a complex system of glyphs, intricate symbols carved into stone, painted on codices, and woven into the fabric of their daily lives. These glyphs weren't just a way to record history or communicate. They were deeply intertwined with the Aztec worldview, where the sacred and the mundane were inseparable. Central to their belief system was the idea that the gods required constant nourishment to maintain the universe's balance. This nourishment came in the form of blood sacrifice, a practice that might seem shocking to modern eyes but was seen as a sacred duty by the Aztecs. Blood was considered the most potent offering, a life force that could sustain the gods and ensure the sun would rise each day. The sun god Huitzilopochtli, a fierce deity associated with war and the sun, was particularly revered. His survival, and by extension, the survival of humanity, depended on these sacrifices. The Aztecs believed that without this act of devotion, the world would descend into chaos and the sun would fail to rise, plunging the earth into eternal darkness. One of the most iconic examples of Aztec symbolism is the calendar stone, often referred to as the sun stone. This massive stone disc, intricately carved with glyphs and symbols, is more than just a timekeeping device, it's a cosmic map. At its center is the face of Tonatiuh, the sun god, surrounded by symbols representing the 4 previous eras of the world, each of which ended in catastrophe. The calendar stone served as a reminder of the cyclical nature of time and the Aztec belief in the fragility of existence. It reinforced the idea that maintaining cosmic order required constant vigilance and sacrifice. The Aztecs' use of symbols extended beyond their religious practices. Glyphs were used to record everything from historical events to trade transactions, creating a visual language that connected the spiritual and the everyday. For example, the glyph for a heart wasn't just a representation of the physical organ. It symbolized life, vitality, and the connection between humans and the divine. This holistic approach to symbolism reflects a world view where every action, no matter how small, had cosmic significance. What's striking about the Aztec use of symbols is how deeply they reflect their understanding of the universe. Their glyphs weren't just static images, they were alive with meaning, each one a thread in the intricate tapestry of their beliefs. Through these symbols, the Aztecs communicated with the gods, recorded their history, and made sense of their place in the cosmos. Their world was one where the sacred and the symbolic were inseparable, and every glyph was a reminder of the delicate balance that held their universe together. This profound connection between symbols and the divine offers us a glimpse into a civilization that saw the world as a place of constant negotiation between humans and gods. For the Aztecs, every symbol was a prayer, every glyph a step toward maintaining the cosmic order. And while their practices may seem distant from our own, their use of symbols to communicate with the divine reveals a universal human desire to understand the mysteries of existence and our place within them. The feathered serpent, known as Quetzalcoatl, stands as one of the most captivating symbols in Aztec mythology. This deity wasn't just a single entity, but a profound representation of duality, a bridge between earth and sky, the tangible and the divine. Quetzalcoatl embodied the union of opposites, the serpent, a creature of the ground, and the feathers, symbols of the heavens. Together, they created a powerful image of balance, a reminder that life thrives where opposites meet. In Aztec creation myths, Quetzalcoatl played a central role. It was said that this deity descended into the underworld to retrieve the bones of previous generations, breathing life into them and giving rise to humanity. This act wasn't just a story of creation, but a metaphor for renewal and transformation, ideas deeply embedded in Aztec spirituality. The feathered serpent wasn't merely a god, it was a symbol of cycles, life, death, and rebirth, woven into the fabric of their worldview. This symbolism extended far beyond myths and into the physical world. Aztec art and architecture were rich with depictions of Quetzalcoatl, from intricate carvings on temple walls to massive stone sculptures. The Temple of the Feathered Serpent in Teotihuacan, for example, is a testament to the reverence they held for this symbol. Every feather, every coiled serpent carried meaning, reminding the people of their connection to both the earth beneath their feet and the skies above. But the Aztecs weren't alone in their fascination with serpent symbolism. Across cultures and continents, serpents have appeared as powerful spiritual symbols. In ancient Mesopotamia, the serpent was associated with healing and wisdom, often depicted alongside gods. In Hindu mythology, the serpent Naga represents both destruction and regeneration, echoing the duality seen in Quetzalcoatl. Even in ancient Egypt, the uraeus, a stylized cobra, symbolized divine authority and protection, worn by pharaohs as a sign of their connection to the gods. What's striking is how these civilizations, separated by time and geography, arrived at similar interpretations. The serpent, with its ability to shed its skin, became a universal symbol of transformation and renewal. Whether coiled around a staff or soaring with feathered wings, it carried a message of balance, power, and the sacred interplay between the earthly and the divine. These shared themes suggest a deeper, almost instinctual understanding of the natural world and humanity's place within it. The Aztecs believed their world was intricately woven into the fabric of the cosmos, and their temples and pyramids stood as monumental expressions of this connection. These structures weren't just places of worship, they were physical embodiments of the universe itself, designed to mirror the heavens and the earth. Take the Templo Maya, for example, the grand centerpiece of Tenochtitlan. This towering pyramid wasn't just a feat of engineering, it was a sacred axis, a point where the earthly realm met the divine. Each level of the temple represented a different layer of the cosmos, from the underworld to the heavens, creating a vertical pathway for communication with the gods. The carvings and symbols etched into the walls of these temples were far more than decorative. They were a language of the divine, intricate depictions of gods, celestial bodies, and sacred animals told stories of creation, fertility, and the cycles of life and death. These symbols served as a bridge between the human and the divine, guiding priests and worshippers through rituals that honored the gods and maintained cosmic balance. Blood offerings, incense, and ceremonial dances were performed on the temple steps, each act a deliberate attempt to align the earthly and spiritual realms. At the heart of these rituals was the belief that the gods required sustenance to keep the world in harmony. The Templo Maya, with its dual shrines dedicated to Huitzilopochtli, the god of war, and Tlaloc, the god of rain, became a focal point for these offerings. The Aztecs saw these acts not as sacrifices in the modern sense, but as sacred exchanges, a way to nourish the gods and ensure the sun would rise, the rains would fall, and life would continue. Through their temples and the rituals performed within them, the Aztecs didn't just worship the divine, they actively participated in the cosmic order, ensuring their place within it. The symbols of ancient civilizations didn't just vanish with the sands of time they've endured, weaving themselves into the fabric of modern spirituality and culture. Even today, these ancient systems of communication continue to resonate, offering a bridge between the past and the present. Take, for example, the resurgence of runes in modern divination practices. Once used by the Norse to seek guidance from the gods, these intricate symbols now appear in everything from jewelry to meditation tools, serving as a tangible connection to a deeper spiritual wisdom. Similarly, mandalas, sacred geometric designs rooted in Hinduism and Buddhism, have found new life in contemporary art and mindfulness practices. These intricate patterns, originally created as tools for meditation and spiritual growth, are now embraced by people worldwide as a way to center the mind and tap into a sense of universal harmony. And then there's sacred geometry, a system that ancient cultures like the Egyptians and Greeks used to represent the divine order of the cosmos. Today, it inspires everything from architecture to healing practices, reminding us of the profound interconnectedness of all things. What makes these symbols so enduring? Perhaps it's their ability to transcend language and culture, speaking directly to the human soul. They offer a way to explore the mysteries of existence, to connect with something greater than ourselves. In a world that often feels fragmented, ancient symbols provide a sense of continuity, a reminder that the questions we ask today are the same ones our ancestors pondered thousands of years ago. As we wrap up this journey through the symbolic systems of ancient civilizations, it's clear that their legacy is far from forgotten. These symbols continue to inspire, to heal, and to connect us with the divine, proving that the human desire to understand the unseen remains as strong as ever. Whether through runes, mandalas, or sacred geometry, the power of these ancient tools endures, inviting us to explore the timeless mysteries of the universe. Throughout history, symbols have served as a bridge between the earthly and the divine, a language that transcends words and speaks directly to the human spirit. From the intricate carvings of ancient Mesopotamia to the sacred geometry of the Egyptians, these symbols were more than mere decorations. They were tools of connection, ways for civilizations to reach out to the gods and find meaning in the mysteries of existence. What's truly remarkable is how universal this practice was. Whether it was the Mayans gazing at the stars to encode celestial wisdom into their temples, or the Norse embedding runes with power and prophecy, every culture, in its own way, sought to touch the infinite through symbols. These weren't random markings, they were carefully crafted messages imbued with intention and reverence, designed to communicate with forces beyond human understanding. This legacy isn't confined to the past. Even today, symbols continue to shape our world, from religious icons that inspire devotion to the logos and emblems that define our modern identities. They remind us that deep down we're all searching for connection to each other, to the cosmos, and to something greater than ourselves. As we wrap up this journey, think about the symbols in your own life. What signs or images hold special meaning for you? How do they connect you to your heritage, your beliefs, or your sense of wonder? The power of symbols lies not just in their history, but in how they continue to resonate with us, offering glimpses of the divine in the everyday. Before we go, here's a question to ponder. If you could create a symbol to represent your deepest hopes or beliefs, what would it look like? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your ideas. And if you enjoyed this exploration into the mysteries of the past, don't forget to subscribe and join us as we uncover more fascinating stories from history. Until next time, keep looking for the symbols that speak to your soul.